Knowledge. Welcome back to another amazing, epic interview. We are really giving y'all legendary content. You know, those who haven't tuned in, you are really not in the space. Again, welcome back to the seat of the Esteemed. My brother, my big brother, someone I look up to, someone I've known ever since knowledge, understanding.
Yes, indeed.
Welcome back, King Son, to the
Yo, peace, man. It's a pleasure to have me back, man. And peace to everybody out there, whether it's YouTube land or Instagram land or Facebook land, or I'm going to go way back to MySpace land. There's some MySpace cats still out there, man, with Yahoo.com or America Online. But peace to everybody out there, man. This is the God's Son born, King Son. And I'm back on the bigger picture. And, my man Big got me back, my man V. We out here. And, this is the continuation to the bill that we was having. So let's get into it. I'd like to say thank you for having me. And everything is good. So let's keep it popping.
Definitely.
What's good?
So today is Mother's Day. You know what I'm saying? How did you enjoy your Mother's Day today?
Well, my mom's Missy Lane. Anybody from Patterson, New Jersey know Missy Lane. Anybody probably from 45th and Broadway on the Woolly Burger side know Elaine Slade. And, Mom passed away when I was out in L.A. in 2011. And, I wasn't able to make it back. So when I did try to make it back, one of my good brothers, Dougie Fresh, and another one of my good brothers, Tony Rock, they hit me with the dough, so I was able to get airfare and get proper to fly back out, but Mom's passed away. And so I went today to, go put some flowers on the tombstone and just to tell her, man, I love her. And, even though I done got knocked down with the spy situation, that, I hope she's proud of me. I got my 9 babies and I raised my babies to the best of my ability on my side. Peace to my seeds mothers and all my baby mothers. And, I don't have any beef with them. We were young and I did what I did and I raised my babies properly. My babies never wanted or never needed for nothing. But when you have those situations where, that's my baby mom and she's my girl, and then you break up and then it's her way and then it's my way and we get into arguments and fights and do courts and all that. I never chose to do that. So, shout out to my seeds, my daughters, my 5 daughters, my 4 sons, and my 4 baby mothers. I love you guys. And, but I just went to the cemetery and, put some flowers down for moms and, as all you should, because our mothers and our wisdoms go through a lot that we don't really acknowledge and see. So, I went and did that. I'm not with nobody right now. I'm not in a relationship, so I ain't had a Mother's Day to do with my girl or nothing like that. So, that's what that is.
That's peace. That's
True indeed.
Shout out to your mom. Shout out to mom, too.
Yes, indeed.
Rest in peace to them both.
Indeed, condolences. So, yeah, Big, that's what's popping, man. Today's mathematics is knowledge, all being born of wisdom. Have you not heard that your word shall be bond, regardless of whom or what? Yes, my word is bond, and bond is life, and I will give my life before my word shall fail.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
That's peace. Speaking about the nation of gods and earths, there's so many brothers that at that time that you came up with that you actually probably birthed into this whole thing. Give us a little history about the Wu-Tang Clan. What's your history with the Wu?
Well, the Wu-Tang Clan, peace and shout out to the Wu, the brothers from Staten Island, from Shaolin. But, My history with the Wu-Tang Clan is, it predates Wu-Tang because, once I was always living up in Gun Hill Road, White Plains Road up in the Bronx. And through going to parliaments and rallies and showing proofs, I would link up with Mel Quan, Divine Mel Quan, and Shabazz a lot from Shabazz Brothers Clothing Line. So from me building with Mel Quan lived up on 219th Street in like Barnes area, and I lived on 213. And at the time, Mel Quan rested with his old earth. So the God King's son, I had my own apartment on 213 between Gun Hill and White Plains, and or between Gun Hill and 213th Street. So, plus I was in the music industry and everything. So when we would go to Parliament, then we started building with a lot of justice from Medina, and a lot just was rhyming, and a lot just had a song unique, which would turn out to be Old Dirty Bastard. And then a lot just physical was Prince Rakeem, who was actually signed to Tommy Boy at that time. So, since we all was in the music business and everything, and we all was rappers, but we all was builders. So whenever the guys would go up to see Mel Quan, when you go to see Mel Quan, of course we're gonna puff equality, of course we're gonna build on the lessons and bow. So once King Son was in the cipher, it's like, yo, God, just meet me at King Son rest, cause King Son got his own residence. You know what I mean? So, when you go to Mel Quan rest, you ain't gotta be worried about smoking weed, because the God rests with his old earth. So King Son got his own rest. I keep 120 on the coffee table. My wisdom, she was in tune with the gods and everything. So, everybody started coming to my rest. And when you come to my rest, I had two type of movies. Whenever I would come through 42nd Street, I would get the Kung Fu movies, because a lot of people don't know this. On 8th Avenue and 42nd Street, downstairs from the gyro spot, when you go down into the A train, it used to be stores down there. So as soon as you go down into the stores to the right, there was the Asian brother with the Kung Fu movie. And other than Kung Fu movies, they had pornos. So I used to go down there and cop the Kung Fu movies and the porno movies and everything. So when I would come from Now Justice, I jump off the bus at Port Authority, then I boom, hit my little Kung Fu spot, then I go up, I get my movies on the VHS at the time, and I'd go up to Pelon and get with my girl, we watched Kung Fu movies. So I had a lot of Kung Fu movies. You know what I mean? So we all grew up as original people. We all grew up fans of the Asian culture of Kung Fu, Bruce Lee and, martial arts and things like that. That raised us, rest in peace and shout out to Jim Kelly and, all of the brothers, the original brothers who used to do Kung Fu and all that. So, the guys that come to my rest, and when you come to my rest, we could watch, build on lessons, eat, puffy quality, and watch Kung Fu movies. And, one particular time we up there in Justice was like, yo, God, a lot of justice. Jizzle was like, yo, God, I think that, God, I'm going to start something with Wu-Tang Clan, which was the villains in Shaolin versus the Monk. So, we always gods, and sometimes you throw things out there, you throw something against the wall, it might not stick. But the gods had a determined idea. You know what I mean? And so, when they came with, just a lot of Just favorite movie, or at that time when they used to come to my rest, a lot of Just used to like the movie Mystery of Chess Boxing. And that's the movie with Ghostface Killer. Ghostface Killer, I think they had defecated on him. They played him wrong. So he got ill when he started going back killing all the masters. So they chilling to the side. They got their students. They ain't bothering nobody. But Ghostface Killer came and was murdering the masters, and he leave the little Ghostface symbol. So, with that being said, it's a lot of things out of Wu-Tang Clan that came from different kung fu movies. You got Ghostface, and I don't know about Raekwon the chef, but, Sam C, once played the chef, when you thinking he's just teaching you how to cook, but he's showing you how to throw the bowls, and the pot that he's lifting with the rice is like 400 pounds. So you could have got Raekwon the chef from that. You could have got Ghostface, came from Ghostface, I know that much. But so Wu-Tang, they did it, huh? They put the determined idea together and they popped off with it. But at that time, while they was doing the Wu-Tang, I said, well, yo, God, let me be the Rover, which was another Kung Fu movie. But at that time, I was still running with Russell and Leo and Def Jam, so I couldn't fall back in the cut and, get with them. And they took it from grassroots. They, I think it might have been Prince Rakeem and Divine that their family moved out to Staten Island, and the PJs out there, whether it was Park Hill or Stapleton or whatever. But, those brothers, they incorporated those brothers, came through, and lo and behold, it was Wu-Tang Clan. So once they got it popping, it don't make sense, oh God, let me get down. Let me be down with Wu, so let the Wu be the Wu. But what I did do, because I'm a stickler and being competitive, I started what's called Iron Hand Clan. Now, Iron Hand Clan is from, the movie has two names. It's either Iron Fingers of Death or The Tale of Two Princes, where there's two princes and one goes to Shaolin and the other prince is taught by a scholar. And he's taught the sword staff. And the villain is called the Ninth Prince. And the Ninth Prince has this metal apparatus on his hand and he fights you with swords. You can have a sword, so he's fighting you like this. So he'll break your sword and then he'll kill you. So he was trying to overthrow the two princes. So I took like this being the peace sign with the God Savior. You know what I mean? And so it's still a Kung Fu movie. Y'all look it up. The Tale of Two Princes or Iron Fingers of Death. And he'll break your sword and murder you. And that's the Ninth Prince. So when we deal with knowledge of self, we take it from what? Knowledge to born. And born back to knowledge. So the Ninth Prince, all the way to completion, he was, the ultimate villain. He had the joint like when RZA and them did Here Comes the Rain Again, when he jumped into, the chair you sit in, you know what I mean, when RZA did that. But the Ninth Prince had the ill Mercedes-Benz joint where his joint could spin around and his joint could flip sideways and, he had the trick chair. But yeah, man, me and the guys from Wu, me and all the guys, man, we used to, everybody come to King Sunrest, parlay, puff, chill, and watch movies, man. And that was the brotherhood, man. And, I'm proud of the guys and what they did and how they popped it off, you know what I mean? But I was there early with that. So when y'all do see Iron Hand Clan, don't think like I just bit it off of Wu or I'm just trying to buff Helmet or anything like that. Shortly after Justin RZA popped off with Wu-Tang Clan, I came with Iron Hand Clan, but I let the guards get theirs off first because that's how you got to do it. Let the guards pop off. And so now that we in a different time, now I can release that Iron Hand Clan joint. Feel me?
Speaking about the Wu-Tang Clan, I remember intensely, as you know,
True.
Doing security for them, watching them back in the days. And I want to clear up a few misconceptions.
Indeed.
Who out the Wu-Tang Clan is Godbody?
Well, I'm going to say this, and I'll say this. Black man is God by nature, so I would say, I know your question, all the brothers is God by. But you know, your wisdom and your words and actions and your manifestations will speak for itself. So from who I know, that was God body, that studied 120 degrees, that studied lessons that we all used to build before the war, was Allah Justice, Prince Rakeem, Ason Unique, and Allah Mathematics. So those are the four brothers that I knew before the war, and we always argued and built on lessons 120. We would go through 120 first, then we would go into the rhyme. Who was nice with the rhyme? Allah Justice was always nicer. I could freestyle. Allah Justice was always nice with the swords. A song was really the beatbox. And RZA, you know, not disrespect to RZA, you know, but I think the God was really more on the musical side of it. But the God used to spit lyrics. But those four brothers in the law math was the DJ. So when it came down to a Ghostface, Raekwon, now when I did meet the God Method Man, I met him under the name Shaquan. And I know that Shaquan, which is meth, is taught by freedom. So whenever I would build with Shaquan Meth, you know, I call him Shaquan because I like to, you know, even though, you know, I don't like to call my brothers by, like even Big Daddy Kane. I call him King Allah. I don't call him Kane and, you know, boom, boom, King Asiatic, nobody equal. So, you know, like the gods, we do that. A lot of gods don't call me King Son. They call me Son Bone. So I would say Allah Just, Rakeem, Allah Math, A-Song, and Shaquan, which is Method Man. So as far as Cat, Ghost, Deck, U-God, now I know U-God got some 5% in his family. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if it's his old dad or somebody like that. So I know U-God got it in him. But U-God is kind of thuggery. You know, that's my little brother, and I love the God. Me and that beef. But I've grown to understand the God. I know who he is. I know how he gets down. And I love the brothers. But like I said, Just, Jizza, RZA, Allah Math, Old Dirty, and Meth was the ones that I know for building on lessons.
Yeah, that's peace. Shout out to Prince Rakeem. Some of you know.
So indeed, we love you, Rakeem.
Before I could attest to what you're saying, because before they became Wu-Tang Clan, I was building with the brothers.
Right, we all used to be at the school.
In the parliament and the school, you know. He actually told me that he was working on the Wu-Tang Clan back then. He was working on a group that was about to come out, and just so happened that they did come out right later.
Right,
and I
Protect Your Neck.
Exactly.
And even, I kind of was a little heated because I had a verse for Protect Your Neck too. You know what I mean? But, you know, they popped it off and I couldn't hold equality claim to be like, yo, God, why y'all did that without me? We wasn't like that. We was brothers. So when oh, wow, I'm watching video music box, oh, you best protect your neck. You know, and then the law just went in on cold chilling. You know what I mean? First thing first, man. I mean, you know, no, that's Old Dirty verse. But you know, when he went in on Flat Tie and everything, I'm like, yeah, the gods did it, man. So we all back in them days, we didn't hate on each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like I could be chilling with G-Rap. I'm chilling with Heavy D. I'm chilling with Carriage One. We all right here. But when it comes to their songs and their music, I'm a fan. I'm a fanboy.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? And that's how we did. We were in supportive of each other. You know, like Kane told me, like, yo, God, yo, you an ill dude. Kane said, yo, I wouldn't battle you. I was like, man, you clowning. He said, nah, God, because you don't understand. It ain't metaphors or how you write. You good off the top of the head. So if you battling somebody and you good off the top of the head, ain't no telling what you will say. So I understood that. I built with G-Rap. You know, G-Rap had all the gangster joint. G-Rap said one of my illest gangster songs I like is Big Shots, which is my joint. And half the cats out there, King Son, oh, he ain't relevant, he ain't never had no hits. Go back and listen to Big Shot. And it was 1988, 89 when I did it. You feel me? So, but G-Rap, I'm a fan. You know, Carriage One, I'm a fan. Chuck D, I'm a fan, but I'm sitting with these brothers. I'm eating with these brothers at the same table, but that's how we used to be in hip hop. We all was supportive of each other. So even when Wu-Tang came out and popped off, we were supportive, and it was what it was.
That's peace.
True.
One of the confusing things at the time that only probably you, besides them themselves, to give the clarity for. It was an unspoken thing. And probably this might open up a can of worms, but I would like to know for my own concern.
Sure did.
So at that time, we was heavy, the flag. And it's nothing else other than the flag. That's how that it was given to me.
Conveyed, and that's who he was, right?
Wu-Tang Clan was, well, at the time they became successful, they took presence of the group with you, brand new, being with poor righteous teachers as the face of
the
hip hop
in the industry, right?
Yeah, industry of the Nation of Gods and Earths. So at that time, I could not understand why was Raekwon and Ghostface rocking Jesus pieces, and there was never no build to it, and it was never, no one ever challenged it. None of the guys ever said it because I guess they, at the time, they were successful and everybody was doing good. So it was just something that just let it rock out. But what's the build on the Jesus piece?
Well, I'm going to tell you what my build is. And again, this is no disrespect to Wu-Tang, and it's no disrespect to none of the brothers. But you know, I'm a diligent God, and I nitpick on everything. You know what I mean? I nitpick on everything. Like, Carmelo Anthony got a flag. Is he God? Hove got a flag. Jay Electronica, is they gods? Let's get at them, bad at them. But when I saw that, with the gods, with the Jesus pieces,
I was looking for you during that time.
No,
you was the one that used to explain it to me and pull me to the side.
The G. Kaleens and the Umalas and the Dumars, chill God, be easy God, live and let live. But see, my science was I had to fall back from my criticism of Wu-Tang because, let me say this, and this ain't nothing to diss Wu or this ain't nothing to diss nobody, but in hip hop, the worst saying to ever come out was, you a hater. When they came out with you a hater, if you don't like this, if this is actually whack, if it's actually whack, and I don't like it or you don't like it, oh, you a hater. When they said about Puff's shiny suits and all that, right, bye. Oh, they haters. They hating on my style. So that means you can't criticize nothing that's whack. So that's why that door, you a hater, left the door open for everything that's whack to come through what's here right now. But back to the Wu with the Jesus pieces. You feel me? So now, in that, to them brothers, it's fly. You say, oh, peace God, the Raekwon. Peace God, the Ghost. Peace God, to Cap and Inspector Deck. And them, peace God, peace. But they wasn't really under the teaching of the Father. You feel me? They was running with the gods, which make them birds of a feather flock together, the gods. But when we see something contrary to civilization, righteousness, and knowledge of self, yo, God, why you wearing the Jesus people? Oh, nah, man. But then when you acknowledge the lyrics that they say, they telling you they ain't God. Hey, yo, shorty sucking my dick, and word is bomb, God, and bop, bop, bop. Again, no disrespect to my brother. But when you hear the dialogue and you hear the wisdom that they manifest, and they not rhyming like wise intelligence, they not rhyming like Lakim Shabazz. You know, they rhyming like brothers from the project.
Yeah. But
we know in all projects, you know, what's that line that AZ said? He said, back in the day, we used to be 5%ers, but something got up in us because we all turned to sinners.
Yeah.
Now, AZ was running with the god Shabar, Lil Buddha. AZ is a prolific MC, man. Nas is a prolific MC. But will we say that they God body, or they just could pick up on the slang and pick up on how the gods move?
I didn't know them as such.
Right. And really, I can't say, but in all actuality, they not.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know them as such.
You know, peace, God. You know, everybody can say peace, God. Days, mathematics, knowledge, all being born in wisdom, God. But when it comes down to your ways and actions and your build, how you actually make it walk and talk, then that's a different story. And that's where brothers who are not of that set ability don't understand, well, you know, like, yo. And then you got brothers like me, yo, they ain't God, they ain't God. Yo, God, just chill, God, why you hating? Because they getting paid and you not? This ain't about pay, it ain't about money, it ain't about this, that, and the third. It's about, I got knowledge of self and I build. And these brothers don't seem to be reflecting the same thing.
I recently watched, again, shout out to the brother Prince Rakeem.
Sure.
These questions are actually important questions. So
Sure,
you know, it's not, you know, an attack on you, Prince Rakeem, or anything like that. These are questions that I myself want to understand, and I'm sure if I want to understand it, a lot of other people want to understand.
Sure indeed.
So I watched recently Prince Rakeem. He went to Mecca and did his, you know,
his Shahada.
Yeah.
You know,
He took the Shahada. And
Shahada, yeah, my bad. He took his Shahada and I could build on it.
I want to have, I'm trying to have.
What's the science behind that? Because I had some brothers, you know, certain brothers from Wu-Tang, they went and took their Shahada with the Arabic brothers over there and did that. And I had some brothers tell me wise intelligence from poor righteous teachers went and is dealing with some, you know, Israelite science. So all I can really say from knowing these particular brothers that maybe they went in their quest for civilization and righteousness, they had to go further. You know what I mean? They needed something more than what Allah's 5% nation of Islam was giving them. Now, I can't actually say that with Prince Rakeem or them brothers that took their Shahada to be Muslims and out there with the Arabic brothers. It's to each his own. But if it's going to civilize you, if it's going to allow you to teach righteousness, then I'm for it. Mine like inshallah, you know, he gave me knowledge of self. And he was taught by the gods and was taught by knowledge, firstborn knowledge God from the Father. Party. You know, my mind like inshallah, he now took sovereignty on the Moorish temple side. See, because with Islam, the civilizing of the black man, you know, the uplifting of the black man. We have to go when we deal with, let's say you're a Nation of Islam, NOI, or let's say you Fruit of Islam, you know what I mean? 5% Nation of Islam. Let's say you're part of the NGE, which is something new that I just got up on, Nation of Gods of Earth. Then let's say you're part of the Muslim God, which is, I've always known brothers that had a Muslim persona, but they was gods. But now I'm learned that they're called Muslim God. So my science is
Wesley,
right, Dr. Wesley
Muhammad.
You already know that Dr. Wesley Muhammad, Wakil Allah, which brothers hate Wakil, but I'm gonna say it on camera. I love that brother. I build with that brother every night, brother. Oh, you following Wakil? Wakil trying to make you Nation of Islam. And when you talk like that, man, and when you put comments like that in your thing, you're just showing, proving who you are. I build with Wakil Allah because of the knowledge that he possessed. I build with the God because he thirsts for knowledge. He's built with the elders that walked with the Father. He built with the Father's family. And so for me, building with the God, he wrote books. When I first got hip to the God, they told me at the school, it was, I might even been Kaleem in them. Yo, God, he even dissed you in that book in the name of Allah. So I went, I ain't no wisdom, God. I ain't no hearsay. You ain't gonna die. Yo, what's his name? Wakil. Okay, bad. I went and bought the book, read the book. God put his number in the book. I called the God. And really, after building with him, I was kind of insulted. Why? How come all of y'all, when y'all say gods, the 5% true and living building gods, you say Rakim, Kane, Karis One, Chuck D. You start naming Brand Nubians. You start naming cats who ain't even God body. But I never hear none of y'all say the God King's son. And I came into this music industry with knowledge of self. I had to show and prove on my jewelry, on my chinchilla coats, on my universal flag jackets. Freedom used to come at me daily. Another God, rest in peace, named Universal, used to come at me daily. Yo, God, let me coming up in here with all that rat shit, all that this, that, and the third, shot, and all them, and I stood and held my own. You feel me? Only to have the gods get in the industry, and now it's yo, we rappers, God. We rappers, they rappers, yo, let the gods, everybody, they everybody on their thing. But back to what killed. I built with the God, yo, man, why you ain't? He was like, nah, God, I know you a builder, and boop, boop, boop. I know a lot of brothers older than me, a lot of brothers that came up with me. They don't smoke cigarettes or weed. They don't drink. They don't do drugs. They don't do cocaine. They dress with refinement. They speak with refinement. They don't deal with misogyny or wisdoms, and they really they look like Muslims, but they 5%. So I never knew that this was a term called a Muslim God. But in my older age now, and I see where our nation is, it's like you look for something more. You look for something that's more tangible, something that's more concrete that you want to govern your life by, something that you want to live out with your woman, your moon, or your wisdom, something that you want to teach your seed. And you can't be like, fuck these niggas, man. That bitch just sucked my dick. Peace, God. That's a contradiction in terms. You can't say, peace, God, I'm educating the babies, but you selling liquor. You selling beer. You selling alcohol. So you can't really have that. You can't serve two masters. Either you're going to serve He Allah, Father Allah, or you gonna serve that grafted devil, that Caucasian. You feel what I'm saying? So, with the brother Wakil Allah, Dr. Wesley Muhammad, Shaheed M. Allah, you know what I mean? The brothers that I run with, man, we got a bill going on, man. And we not, like I said, I had one brother tell me, oh, the NOI, the Nation of Islam, that's our enemies. How dare you link up with our enemies like I did blaspheme to the Nation of Islam. But when I spoke to my elder brothers, they're cipher, God. You don't apologize for nothing. Who is these brothers? Who are they, God? All that newfangled, early 90s, late 90s, all that. They ain't who we are, man. Let them brothers do them and you do you. You know what I mean? So, I heard that we had did an interview and I seen one brother tell me, yeah, King Son, you look old. You look like an old Larry Holmes. And it's like, I acknowledge little comments like that, God, and I laugh at it like, there's nothing you can say in the comments that's gonna make me buckle or make me second guess or doubt who I am. I'm secure in my righteousness. I'm secure in my fatherhood. I'm secure in my manhood. Period. But I just bug out at some of the things. And like I said before, and then I think I might have said in the past interview, somebody called me gay and said something about a rainbow. Oh, we deal with the Rainbow Coalition and all that. And it's like, yo, you know what? Whoever said that, and you know who you are if you're seeing this, you a straight clown, man. My divine is like knowledge, wisdom, inches long. I got more than one baby with each wisdom that I got babies with. So all that, he cipher, man cipher and all that coming at me, I'm the wrong dude, man. I'm the wrong dude for, oh, you gay and you this, that, and the third. And see, sometimes I wish I could see these cats so I could smack fire out of you. You feel me?
They're not real.
But I know you're not real. You somewhere, a coward somewhere behind the phone wherever you live, and you got a goofy name up there.
No, so let me give you some knowledge that I've learned. This is going to be interesting for you.
Sure indeed.
So, because this is what's happening to me, so you might not know about this. So they're bots.
Right.
And what it is we have haters. And our haters tag on bots on our comments and on our stuff. And the bots are making those comments.
The bots link up to an algorithm.
Exactly. If you
like
go on, that's why it's if you go on to hit the person profile, there's nothing there. No files, no information, no nothing. It's a bot.
Wow.
It's a bot. And you have this whole
no, I know
so
see,
tight there, all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have your haters and your people that's against you that go and put these bots on you.
Well,
so a lot of times not even. Sometimes they're real people, but sometimes they're not. It's a damn bot.
No, I acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But so I just say that if we got bots and we got electronics and all these things that are working in this present day society, original black people, what are we doing for our own selves? What are we doing to look out for us, man? Because in all this time, everybody's coming up. Pakistani, Hindu, Jewish, Muslim, Chinese, Russian, North Korea, South, everybody coming up. But we still in the same situation, man. So let's get our mind right.
Recently in the news, as I'm sure that you was aware of, we had a huge controversy in hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think there's no one else, better to qualify, besides your peers to speak on this. Fat Joe went on a live or something to the effect, and he said that he don't know why Puerto Ricans was getting a little bit of hate. He said because, he said Puerto Ricans 50-50 created hip hop. And this caused a big rift between hip hop community and an emerging group known as the FBA, which is their
Foundational Black
Americans. Black Americans. Caused a big rift between them. Mind you that that's an organization, but under the description of what they're saying they are, made a lot of people a part of the organization that's not even a part of the organization. Right. Just those who know that they're foundational blacks. It made a big rift. Right. No one could, I've even made videos about it. That's where I sit, but I wasn't there. I came into hip hop, when, around the time you met me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so it was way later. But I know when I came in, what I felt I saw. Right. But I would like for you to elaborate and for the world, let us know what was this take?
Okay, so I'm gonna bring it from a God body point of view. And I'm gonna first say like this, we know that the original man is the maker, owner, creamer of all things. So we know we started hip hop. So with hip hop being birthed in the Bronx, and especially the South Bronx, where there is a heavily populated Puerto Rican, Taino Indian, population. I can honestly say, and this is, I got Puerto Rican children. I got Puerto Rican baby moms. So, with this being said, like I said, the original black man is God and the maker. So when hip hop and all this popped off, we did make and own and cream this. So the FBA is right. It's the black man that the original people started hip hop. We created it, we experimented with it, and we blew it up. But I will say, like I said, with it being from the Bronx and it being a melting pot of Puerto Rican and a melting pot of black people, the same as disco. You understand? The same as, now when disco was popping off, you had blacks, you had Puerto Ricans, but when you look at disco, you'll see Italians, John Travolta, Saturday Night Fever and all that, from Brooklyn, from Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, and even when they did the movie The Son of Sam, and that happened up in, not Hunts Point, it happened, Clausen's Point, whatever. You know what I mean? Like Puerto Ricans were there, but there was a part of Puerto Ricans that they kept their own culture to themselves. You understand? And the Puerto Ricans that did join with original people, with black people and what they did, there's a word called moyo or molletos or molletas. I've never seen it written out, but in the pronunciation of being Hispanic, in the pronunciation, Moyo would be spelled M-O-J-O, like Mojo, but it's Moyo. So Moyo is a derogatory term that Puerto Ricans use towards black people. It's like nigger with ER. You understand? Yo, you messing with the Moyos, the Moyos, the Moyos, bye. But me, having Hispanic in my family and knowing the origin of it, I acknowledged it. But I got a lot of brothers that's Puerto Rican, but mostly all my Puerto Rican brothers that I really dealt with, other than my DJ Life Supreme, yo, Gijo Peach, you know, that's the God. The God is the light skin, which these are the Puerto Ricans that might come from San Juan, where they light skin, green eyes, hazel eyes, whatever. And even those Puerto Ricans are prejudiced against the Puerto Ricans that might look like what's called Indio, Tregueño. You know what I mean? So they might be like, you know, there's prejudice. It's all in because that's from the 50s and the 60s and coming over here and everybody trying to claim their own little set and all that. But now when it comes to hip hop, you know, that's the original man created that. The black people created that. But you have your Ruby Deeds. You know, you have your Prince Ripper Wicks. You know what I mean? All through hip hop, you had the Hispanic brothers, Tito from the Fearless Four, Prince Marky D. The Hispanic brothers was there. But see, with the creation of hip hop, okay, let's say it first started off with graffiti, because graffiti goes back to, again, like the Italians and Happy Days and all that, writing on bathroom walls. So it starts first with the graffiti. Then when the black side comes in that, it's the DJ. So then you got the DJ and you got the music that creates the background and the atmosphere. Okay? So then after the DJing, you would have the fashion. So no, my bad. Let me correct that, pardon me. After the DJing, you would have the break dancers, which the break dancers were original people, black people, and they could take you back to Sammy Davis Jr., his father, you know, it could take you back to the Ben Vereen's and all that, the Gregory Hines and them, even tap dancing and all the moves and things what were made, that was the original man. But then you would have the Hispanic brothers and sisters, the Latinos, Tainos would come in and they would master the art of breakdancing. So you got graffiti, in which the Puerto Ricans jumped in on the graffiti. As far as the DJing, that was the black. That was the black and the Jamaican side with the sound systems. Then you would have the breakdancing, where you would have the breakdancing, and that's where Puerto Ricans again would rise up and push that further. So then after the breakdancing, you would have the fashion of the Pumas, the Procats, the Converses, the Lees, the Adidas, and as it would perpetuate, you have the fashion side of it. Then out of the fashion side, you would have the MC. So then with the MCs, to long story short, like I said, graffiti, DJing, breakdancing, right? Fashion, and then rapping. Those are what I consider the five elements. Because by the time the rappers came out, it was with the Cazelles, the Kangos, you know, the Poses, in which a lot of what you're going to capture in later interviews, a lot of the poses, a lot of the slang, and a lot of the wording of hip hop came from the 5% Nation, which was the God. And even with that being said, the gods that, put into the melting pot of hip hop, the Puerto Ricans would come later and get with the gods. But their families, which might have been Latin kings, which was like the Bloods and the Crips and the GDs, Latin kings were Hispanics that got together and said they're going to protect them and theirs in the community. So, when you see Latin, like right now, Latin kings might beef with the 5%ers. And even as I ran with Fat Joe, he was my man. But when the same time that I met Fat Joe, I met my man Anthony Crespo, Tony Montana, if everybody know. He lived in 1000 Trinity, Fat Joe building on the same floor. But Tone was Regueño, Puerto Rican. Tone was like brown skin, wore gazelles, and Tone was a wild boy. Rest in peace. I love and miss my dude, Tone. And Tone was a street dude. He dealt with dirty rugs. Figure out what I mean, dirty rugs. Tone dealt with that, but there was a part that Tone would release to me, like, yo, God, when I was incarcerated, I learned 120. Tone knew lessons. But he said, don't tell Fat Joe and Angel and them that. Don't tell them that, because they're going to say, like, oh, you're a Puerto Rican wannabe. You want to be a Moyo. But Tone knew lessons. And Tone was like, yo, run with me, God. Rock with me. And I used to run with Tone. And when I ran with Tone, I kept a little 4.4 Magnum on me. But Tone would come to my crib every morning, pick me up. And I would rock with him. When it's me and Tone, he would build on the day's mathematics. He would build, yo, God, how you see this lesson? And I would laugh at him because I'm thinking he's joking. Like, Tone, go ahead. Nah, God, I ain't bugging. How you see this lesson? Tone knew 120. Tony Montana knew 120. And he said, yo, just don't tell them because I don't want them clowning. And it's like he was my man till he passed away. You feel me? But even Tone was on that. If I want to try to find, I was on the program 48 Hours and another program on ABC called 2020, where it's me, Chubb Rock. Well, it was me beating up. I was the first one beating up African bootleggers over the music. I was the first one. But they interviewed me, Chubb Rock, and Run DMC. Rest in peace, Jam Master Jay. But receipts, Run, I got low receipts I could show you. Run and DMC to tell you we were all on. Barbara Baylor was the executive producer of this ABC show where we beat up bootleggers. But Tone is on that show with me. And Tone rocked with me. And he was my man. Now, to get all the way back to the question, and this is what I want people to know. When Bigga asked me a question and I seem to ramble on, I go into depth because I want the viewer to know the actual fact, the truth, the receipts. It's not that, oh, I didn't touch, oh, he asked a question. I'm not from a generation where we abbreviate things. I'm not from a generation where we shorten it. I can't teach you to be a lawyer or a doctor or a judge in a 30-day course. You have to go through the time period where it's allowed for you to become said person of that ability. So when I'm asked a question, I manifest and answer the question to the best of my ability and how I do so. So now, like I said, with Fat Joe, you know, I'm not sure if it's this episode, we'll get into the Fat Joe Chronicles, but we will. And it ain't all bad. You know what I mean? It's like, I know Fat Joe before Flo Joe. I know Fat Joe before the album Represent. Before everybody, oh, Fat Joe is gangster, he'll kill you, he'll do all this, that, and the third. I know Fat Joe before that. I know Fat Joe's moms. I know Fat Joe's pops, brothers, family, this, that, and the third. Fat Joe and I even had we had our children together. My third daughter, Nalasia, Unique, and Fat Joe's son, Ryan, their mothers were friends. We met their mothers together. So, you know, like I said, it ain't all bad, but I've noticed how Fat Joe would pop out, how he would be on the Math Hoffa show and run nigga, 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 nigga. Yo, these niggas and this nigga and that nigga, this nigga and the third. And I did, from my point of view, have a problem with that. I even had a problem with Math Hoffa's show. How is you letting this Puerto Rican dude run niggas so much? I don't care if we from Trinity, 63rd, Webster, Brook, Willis, Cypress. I don't care. Pardon me, he's overstepping his bounds. So that when you come into money, you come into power, you come into prestige, you have the tendency to think you are that dude. But we all know in the Bronx, you could be that dude if you want to, and then the next thing you know, you ain't that dude. So, but as far as disrespecting the FBA, that was now cipher, meaning no. You feel me? Because if you had a black dude jumped up there and started dissing Puerto Ricans, it would have been a different story. What we know in the Bronx is a melting pot. I could be the only black family in a whole project of Puerto Ricans, but if you come to Gun Hill Road, you'll see my man Stretch, my man Lou, we call Lou Papote, Lou Felipe, Lou Moms, was like the only Puerto Rican family in Gun Hill Project, which is the Bronx. They got Jews, Stretch, Papote, my man Lou, Crazy Lou, Lou Felipe, they sister Kathy, they moms, they like the only family in Gun Hill Projects that's Puerto Rican. You ain't gonna do nothing to them, you ain't gonna disrespect them, you ain't gonna hurt them. But in the Puerto Rican project, I saw it different. In Forest projects, I saw it different. On Trinity was the Puerto Rican side. On Tinton was the black side. And it's like, there was a disrespect. There was a, we're better than the Moyos. You feel me? So, but like I said, as far as hip hop, FBA, as far as creating it, I'm going to say it's the original people, and I'm not going to apologize if I'm going against Kara's One's teaching or Melly Mel's teaching or whatever. But I was born in Patterson, New Jersey, but I was raised also in the Bronx on Pophams. I was raised in the Bronx on East Tremont, Sedgwick. So I was able to see, even in Jersey, in Patterson, the same thing. We grew up, it was Puerto Rican dudes in my class, it was Puerto Rican girls in my class. We liked the Puerto Rican girls. Oh, they look good, blah, blah, blah. But it was never an animosity. It was, we all here. When I went to my man Jose crib in like 5th grade, me, Akbar, and everybody, we went to Jose crib. His mom's making rice and beans. She make a plate. We all sitting down, we eating. We go watch Underdog, Spider-Man. His pops come in and yell at him. He yelling at us too. So we never saw a difference from my generation of Hispanic and Black people growing up.
Very interesting. I watch a lot of these shows that they have out. I see Cuban Link, and I see another one of his guys that supposedly was his ghostwriter, and TA, and they describe the same word that you were saying. They said behind closed doors, his agenda was to raise up the Puerto Ricans, and saying that us Moliers had our time already.
Right.
Did that?
TA said Moyo, or Moyo he threw that out there?
He said, well, if it's not TA, it's one of the guys. It wasn't TA. It was one of the guys he had with him that was Black, actually.
That's TA?
No, it was another one before TA. This guy was Black, but he said Joe thought he was Puerto Rican, and he never said nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He did an interview.
He's
letting it all out now. And he's saying that Joe would have the meeting with them. He said they didn't know that. He knew Spanish, but he was Black.
Right.
And he said that, so he just would not say anything. And he said, yeah, Joe would have meetings with them talking about...
And talk about the Moyos and everything.
Yeah, that we have to, take over from them.
I'm going to say this. See, like when I see Fat Joe doing these interviews and he's saying he's super gangster, he's this, and he's Black, and he did all this, I laugh, man, because Joe is my man. And I don't got to do, Cuban Links is my dude, but I met Cuban. I met Cuban. I even met Pun one time in Jimmy's Cafe. Mm-hmm. And I was shook of meeting him, but I was shook of meeting him because he was so lyrically nice. Mm-hmm. And, he's a big dude. And if you know anything about big dudes that's overweight, they got to rock back and forth. You know what I mean?
Emotion.
Right. They said, like, if you stand still, like, your feet will go numb or whatever. And Pun was a big dude. And we in Jimmy's Cafe, the to-go, area. And I walked in there with, my little peoples I was with, little Dominican joint. You know what I mean? She was, she was feminine, but she was from the Bronx, and she was ill. And she was like, yo, look, Pop, like clowning, like, look at this nigga Big Pun. And I'm like, I looked at him and I was like, oh, it is him. And so I'm looking at him, then I look away, look at the menu, then I look at him, and he look at me, then he look away, he looking at the menu. And then so he was the one that broke fast first and was like, yo, what's up, King Son? I'm a big fan. And when he said that to me, it's like, what? I said, nah, what's up, man? What's up, Pike? He used to say, what's up, Pike? So I said, yo, what's up, Pike? I said, nah, I'm a fan of yours, man. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm like, yo, you got that Puerto Rican G-rap thing going on. And then he looked at me and he smirked, did his little smirk. You know what I mean? So that was me solidifying, like, well, Big Pun know who I am. Mm-hmm. You feel me? But that's the only time I met him. Mm-hmm. So now, like I said, I got my peoples. And with the brother, like I said, let's get back to Joe. Joe was a cool dude. He was fun to be around. We used to snap. We used to joke about. And they said he might have did the Apollo before he met me. You feel me? But he wasn't ready to leave the Bronx borough. He didn't want to leave the Bronx borough. Joe, let's go to Brooklyn. My mans and them is in Fort Greene shooting a video, 999. Because King's son, I go anywhere and everywhere. So he wasn't with that. You know what I mean? But I knew I ran with his brother. You know, I ran with his uncle. I ran with his family's consigliere, like his family, you know, my man had. We had a label together called Money Bag Records. Me, Hector Pena, and Danny Castro, which is Fat Joe's uncle. And we was popping. But there's a childlike side to the brother where it's little kid stuff. Like he's spoiled. And I think his mom, he might have been spoiled. You feel me? And so when you a spoiled child, you might have the tendency to lie, make up things, exaggerate, and put things bigger than they are. Then you also may have the tendency of being selfish when you don't want to share. Like if me and Fat Joe broke into an Intimates truck and yo, Joe, boom, boom, I'm gonna get yo, Joe, the cookies over here, bap, bap. He gonna get with me on the Intimates cookies and the cakes and the pies, but then he gonna go tell everybody he found them. He gonna try to hold claims on them. So then that's when I'm like, nah, you ain't find nothing. It's other. Oh, why you? Then he gonna go, why you gotta be the one who found it? Because I'm the one that found it. You feel me? But, you know, with that being said, man, like my man, like I said, with Cuban links. Everybody, Cuban, let it go, let it go. Cuban Links is a very talented dude, man. I put Cuban Links talent up against Jay-Z. I put Cuban against Jada, to be for real. And I don't care what negative comments come out of it, because y'all looking at Cuban Links from what you hear, but you're not knowing the adversities that's blocking him from putting out his best work. If I was a multi-millionaire and I was able to have record deals and give out record deals, I'm gonna sign Cuban Links. I'm gonna sign TA. I'm gonna sign, first of all, Armageddon. I put Armageddon down with the cypher. Fat Joe didn't know Armageddon before I brought him into the studio on Allerton between Kruger and White Plains Road. Now, anybody that think I'm lying or I'm capping or I'm jealous or I need money, whatever, Armageddon. Type in to say who bought you, Omar, and Chris, and all y'all little dudes standing in the driveway. Who brought y'all in the studio first? To Bam Bada, to Jazzy J. In fact, Joe just happened to be there that day when you said that serial killer. This little young boy was 15. He had a rhyme that he was a serial killer who works through the phone book. He was on some G-Rap, Nas stuff. I don't even think Nas wasn't out yet. I brought him in the studio. So, you know, with all that being said, you know, Fat Joe is where he is now. For whatever reason, the universe allowed that to happen. Cuban got shitted on. Triple Six got shitted on. All these brothers, and not to say to be Puerto Rican, but as far as like Big Pun was a phenomenon, Big Pun was a Puerto Rican G-Rap. Cuban Links is a Puerto Rican Big Daddy Kane. Triple Six is a Puerto Rican Rakim. But the world and the audience would never know that because their talents weren't allowed to flourish as they should have. So what I would ask the listeners and everybody watching this interview and after this, don't shit on Cuban links, man. Don't shit on the people that's nice and you hate them because Fat Joe is your hero and Fat Joe did this, that, and the third. Y'all don't know the story. I was there from not day one, I was there from night two. Not day two, but night two. I wasn't there for the Apollo shows and this, that. Fat Joe did have a promo, a Red Alert promo on. But after that, when I met him on Webster at the Rhythm Factory, you know what I mean? It was a different dude. I knew I knew what Puerto Ricans was. My family is Dominicans from 84th and Amsterdam. My family is Dominicans from 96, 97th and Amsterdam. My family is Dominicans from 110th Street. I know Puerto Ricans back Caesar in them. My man Caesar from Chelsea in them. They was about that smoke. Caesar was a Puerto Rican dude, him and his sister, big dude. Wore truck jewelry. You couldn't go to Roseland or no clubs in Hell's Kitchen or Chelsea without having to fight Caesar, get robbed by Caesar, or if you didn't know Caesar. Caesar been repping. He was Puerto Rican, but if Caesar, if you still alive, man, peace to you and your sister. They ill. And everybody would tell you, watch the comments when I say big fat Caesar. He wasn't big and fat. He was big, but he was chubby. But Caesar wore anchors this big, medallions this big. And when you have Puerto Ricans like that rock jewelry from Manhattan, when you got D-Sex and Supreme and Rap and Minister and Hawk and Pig and Tombsday and them D-Seps from Brooklyn, Caesar was a Puerto Rican force to be reckoned with. You ain't heard nobody say that. So you know I'm bringing receipts, man.
Absolutely.
And I saw this before I even knew Fat Joe and them. I been knew what a real Puerto Rican thug looked like. But Caesar wasn't a Moreno nigga Puerto Rican. He had black dudes with him. He had white dudes with him. I think, if I'm not sure, somebody correct me, I think he used to run with Lucifer and from Chelsea. There was a cat named Lucifer, big white boy, built, ponytail. All I know is when you used to go to them clubs from 83, 84, 85, 86, bow, these are the forces you had to reckon with. And Fat Joe in no way could compare to Caesar from Chelsea like 150th and 8th Avenue. Never.
I'd like to say definitely rest in peace to, I heard you mention his mom and dad. I know they both recently passed away. Rest in peace to them because losing both parents.
Whose parents passed?
Fat Joe's.
Nah, I didn't know his parents passed.
Yeah. His dad died a few months ago, and then the mom just recently died.
Oh, well, Fat Joe, I will say this with all due respect. Fat Joe's mother was Mommy Ruby. And Fat Joe's mom, Miss Ruby, was the neighborhood moms. I'm King Son the rapper. I got videos out. I'm this, that. Yo, King Son, come here. Yeah, Miss Ruby, what's going on? Here, go play these numbers on 10 for me. She used to send me. I'm King Son. I'm a celebrity. didn't matter to her. I was one of her sons. Yo, I can't find Joey King's son. Go around the corner and play my numbers for me on 10. In the store, play a little numbers. And I did that because to me, that was that Bronx melting pot. So how that dude seen it was different.
That's the really piece right there.
You feel me? But if both his parents passed away, I did know his sister, Lisa. She was beautiful and she was against the grain. Fat Joe and them could be Moyo. Her boyfriend was black. My man John. Not my man John, but
Fat Joe's sister.
Right.
Boyfriend is black.
Her boyfriend, Lisa's boyfriend. I'm not sure if she had a seed with him or not, but this is Bronx news. I'm not saying nothing that nobody.
No, of course, yeah.
But Lisa, her man John, was a Moreno from like Hunts Point area. You know what I mean? So she was against the grain. It wasn't about that. She used to, she had her and Fat Joe and even their brother Angel got they got the hazel eyes. But Lisa was always like a sweet girl, man. You know what I mean? Like, yo, King's son, yo, my mother wants you. That's all. She was never like street. She was never wild. She ain't smoke. She ain't drink. She never would really like talk, but that's their project, so everybody knew it. But, she just used to, yo, King's son, my mother said, come upstairs. Or King's son, could you go to the store for my mother and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? So I know that brother comes from a good family. Mm-hmm. Whether even, let's say if his mom or his pops or somebody was moyo, their hearts and their intentions was mixing pot good.
Absolutely. And I know him personally before hip hop too, before he was the Fat Joe that we know. I know him
from the Big L days
when he was running with Big L and the Digging in the Crates crew.
Well, I knew him before that.
Yeah, I know you knew him even before that, but that's when I met him, and that was before he was the Fat Joe that he is now. And we actually was together in the armory for the Melly Mel fight. Me, him, and Big L was together that whole night when Melly Mel got knocked out. And I don't.
Well, I had beef with him then. I ain't see him then.
I didn't.
And I was there to fight LL.
Yeah.
He gonna edit the pictures, and y'all gonna see the pictures. I was supposed to fight LL.
You were supposed to fight L that night?
I'm gonna show you the pictures. I was supposed to fight LL. I was supposed to fight Parrish or Eat Eric. I was supposed to fight Parrish. One of them two, because like the Mel Willie D fight threw everything off. Yeah. So now everybody starts second guessing everybody else. Yeah. But LL was there. I was supposed to fight L.
Well, wasn't Bumpy Knuckles? He
No. See, I was about to tell you. Right. And see, look, Fox was like, nah, you wasn't supposed. I think Fox was up. They threw Fox up like, yo, King said you want to fight Fox and all that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I think I might have said nah, because I knew Fox, I knew Bumpy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And even though like Bumpy is a real good peace brother.
Absolutely.
But
shout out.
You don't want to, and I knew him because he was signed to Zakia Records. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when I met him as Freddie Fox. But then as time went on and I got to know like him, Hot Dave, G-Rap, Polo, Eric B, like all them cats was real dudes from Queens and like the Brooklyn area. So it's like, you got to realize like these dudes wasn't no joke. But, I did an interview, but I think it might have been in my drunken days and I said I was supposed to fight Fox. And so Fox had called me like, nah, you wasn't going to fight me. But look, I know Bumpy and I know he could box and I know he always
boxed. He always boxed.
Right. But I box and I hit hard.
No doubt.
And it would have been a good fight. Like the LL would have been a good fight.
Yeah, because L boxed too, yeah.
And see, the whole thing is, I'm gonna tell you like who was supposed to fight in our little thing. Now you look at these names: LL Cool J, Freddie Fox, Eric and or Parrish, King Son, and Tim Dog from Fuck Country.
Tim Dog backed out or something
Right.
that night. Right?
So now when you look at all those rappers stuff, all that testosterone, all that muscle,
Freddie Fox wanted to fight Tim Dog that night.
and I believe that's what, and I think Tim Dog. But see, whenever somebody ain't want to fight you, I'm not sure if Fox did fight somebody.
No, he fought that night.
Who he fought?
I can't remember which rapper he fought, but he beat him up, knocked him out too, you know. And he was so angry because he got on them, because Tim Dog had backed out the fight.
Right.
And a couple more New York dudes that were supposed to fight backed out. And
But I wasn't one of them.
yeah, no. He got on the mic and he was really definitely directed
Right, because
at Tim Dog.
whoever they put him in fight,
He wasn't
his
supposed
power.
to. Yeah, exactly. He was like, "You ain't gonna be representing New York. Y'all gonna say New York out y'all mouth."
Was it L? Was he supposed to fight LL?
I can't remember. I know whoever he fought was someone he wasn't supposed to fight. It was later on.
It was
someone they put up to take
right.
the
Like
place.
yo, just go ahead and whoop whoop whoop.
Yeah, but he was mad. He was like, y'all saying New York, represent New York, screaming New York, but then you don't want to, you know.
Do you remember what LL was wearing that night?
No.
So, because that's what I got pictures with me and LL. LL had on the Dapper Dan MC in red sweatsuit, and he never rocked without his hat. Any hat. He got a hood on. If I didn't send you the pictures, I'm gonna send you the pictures.
Absolutely.
And LL was still big. He was still
No, that was during.
but I don't think his heart was dead.
Yeah.
My heart was dead. See, I don't know. I'm trying to think what I remember. Like I said, I got pictures with all of us there.
That night, what they were saying was the major rappers had decided they didn't want to hurt their careers by getting
boxing, right?
by getting beat up on the joint.
And, right.
That they thought it was too much of a risk to hurt their
I was there.
Yeah, that's
to
what.
box.
Yeah, exactly. That's what went down, and that's what was said.
You feel me?
Yeah.
So, but Fox was like, nah, you ain't box me, you ain't blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I got a lot of respect for Fox. You know, Bumpy, that's my man. You know, gangster, righteous, real dude, New Yorker and everything. But I ain't scared of Fox.
Yeah.
I'll bring it.
But
I would have brought it to Fox. We old now, but yeah, man. And you said you was there with Fat Joe.
Yeah, him and
At that time,
all three of us was together. Just us.
and that was already like 93, right?
Before then, I think.
No. You know what?
I think it was
let me correct
91.
myself.
Yeah.
Because I was wearing the Woolridge. I was wearing, it might have been early 92.
Yes, 92. More. That sounds more like.
And I met Fat Joe later in 92.
Yeah. Sounds more like
No.
92.
No, 91. It was 91 because I had the Woolridge shield. No, I had the Woolridge on. Remember when the Woolridge coats came out?
He was rocking the Black Army for Black Army stuff.
Right. I had the Woolridge on. And then in late 91, I had the Woolridge shearling. Well, it wasn't the Woolridge. I had the snorkel shearling on. And I had that in 91 going. So I met Fat Joe in the summer of 91. Because my peoples got shut down in the winter of 91. No, my peoples got shut down in the winter of 92. Me and the girl who was my wifey at the time, my Dominican piece, me and her started having problems in 91. because I went out of town. I took my game out of town with that Rich Porter style stuff. I went out of town to Hampton and I started doing me. She was doing her, so that was 91. So then it was that summer of 91 where that's when I met Fat Joe. That's when I met my baby moms, my baby moms and his girl were friends and all that. So yeah, it was like the summer of 91 because everybody from my block was like, yo, it's this club called the Rhythm Factory. And so I came out. So then from the end of 91 into 92, that's when my people got shut down. So 92, I just stayed in the Bronx. I wasn't going to Manhattan no more. So then that's when I started rocking with Joe. Then I started rocking with Tone. And then from 92, 93, that's when we would go our separate ways. And it was that. But yeah, man.
Before we get off of him, I think, because you mentioned this, and this was a key point, my personal feeling on it is that interview I wasn't no longer there, as you know. And in any, game and anything that you have everybody that play their different positions. And, you have certain people that run interference, and
Indeed.
Those who watch that show and really study that show will understand I ran interference all the time.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? No matter how quiet you might have thought I was, when I knew the wrong thing was said, I ran interference.
Top off, right.
And I don't think that was done that day. And it could have been done in a non-disrespectful way, So when he was doing the nigga stuff, I would have realized that this is, it would have made me uncomfortable.
So
what I would have did personally, in a joking manner, in a soft, hey, Joe, you know what I'm saying? But, let everybody know that who's the closest nigga to you? You know what I'm saying? Who's the best nigga you know? Yourself. You know what I'm saying? So that would have because I already know he would have said that. So I'd have automatically known, that he considers himself a nigger. That would have been, Joe doesn't consider himself a nigger? Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm wrong.
I'm going to say it with the truth. And like I said, no animosity, no hatred, no name callings, nothing. I can sit here on this couch and give you Fat Joe compliments all day. When I ran with him, we in the car, him, me, Flex, rest in peace, sometimes Lil Muggsy, Lil Bubba. We riding around the Bronx, whether it's Southern Boulevard, by East Tremont, Grand Concourse, wherever. I was King Son. I got videos out, wherever we go. And I would see little black dudes. And they'd see me going in the store, whatever, Joe and them in the car. Yo, King Son, bye, y'all like your music, bye, yo, what up, man, bye, whatever, because I like to get to know everybody from a area. So whenever we would be in a black area where it's predominantly black, and I'm like, yo, so what up? Like my man Bo Gamble and them, Uptown Assassins. Shout them out, my man Poe, my man D, my man Earn Money and everybody, all them brothers from Uptown Assassins, Hellraisers and them. And they bear witness to this. We in front of the store, I'm like, go ahead, let me hear you rhyme. So then you hear your man Joe, damn, bro. Every time we go somewhere, you gotta stop and talk to every moyo. You gotta stop and talk to him. I'm like, yo, bro, you know what? You need to be easy with that Mario shit, man. Ah, come on, man. You ain't campaigning, you all the Marios, all the Marios. But if we went around the Puerto Rican area and they was failing me, it wasn't no problem. So I know that. You feel me? I'm not disrespecting. I'm telling it word is bond. I'm a grown ass man. Ain't no hair on my tongue. All that, he thought he was black and he grew up with black people. He thought he was black. That's bullshit. You feel me? He knew he grew up with black people. He knew it was black people in his projects. Even when he got shot, I had to confront them brothers on Trinity Ave. I mean on Tenton. And they I ain't gonna say my man's name, but they know they lived on Law Finesse Block, which was Tenton, which was the black side of the projects. When Fat Joe got shot, me and Tone ran around there. When I went to run up to their building, clack, clack, I heard the Mossberg. Yo, God, peace, dog. Don't come up here with that bullshit. So I walked up. When I walked up and built, they told me what it was. I ain't know it was a Puerto Rican black thing in Fars until this brother told me. With a Mossberg by his side telling me I'm running with the wrong set.
So that was him getting shot was over a black Puerto Rican thing?
Him getting shot was over his sister's boyfriend, which was a black dude. His sister's boyfriend was with a black dude, something happened, blah, blah, blah. And Joe had ran up on a kid that he didn't suspect was strapped. And dude was strapped, pulled out, bust off. He ain't shoot Joe in the bike, caught him in the side.
Warning shot.
Not that.
Yeah, he gave him a warning.
So, I don't know how that went. We wasn't there, but once me and Tone heard Fat Joe got shot, we start running around the whole Bronx flipping. And I'm running around with my goofy ass flipping on black dude who's saying, yo, you the God, and you, yo, King Slime, yo, blah, blah, blah. And even Tone was like, yo, chill, God. Tone was like, chill, God. But with all that, you know what I mean? This, that, and the third, yo, blah, blah, blah. Nah, the Moyo shit was strong and the Moyo shit was real.
So we just confirmed what everything that Cuban Lincoln TA was basically saying is the truth.
But of course, what they saying is the truth. You know what I mean? Because what we need the audience to know, or the listeners, or the court of opinion, what we need for y'all to know, man, that Cuban ain't doing this shit for clickbait. TA is not doing what he doing for click. TA still ain't get at me because I wanted to highlight him like, who are you? And, boom, bang. Not that we don't need a bunch of black dudes who lyrically nicer than Fat Joe to diss Fat Joe. I just want to know who they is on the rhyme side. You feel me? Like with Cuban is, I link with Cuban, me and Ice-T was in the China Club. And Cuban was with a bunch of girls from the concourse that I knew. But they was with him and he was Terror Squad, and I believe Pump was still alive then. But the China Club is the exclusive joint, 72nd, 73rd, next to the Beacon Theater. I'm in there with Ice-T, me, Ice, and my brother-in-law, Lenny, Dominican staff. Cuban in there with the chicks from the concourse, blah, blah. Oh, King Son, what up, y'all? Hey, blah, blah, blah. Cuban sitting there pigs. Some gentleman gangster stuff. Peace, man. Shook his hand, shook my hand, drinking. We had Don P. Fat Joe ain't had nothing to do with that. And I realized Cuban was his own man. Like, these cats really don't know me. But they know the girls that I know from the Bronx. So we got to connect. The girls like, yo, King Son, Puerto Rican girls, you know, they got the bubbly, yo, King Son, yo no Cuban. They innocent, they don't know. So me and Cuban, you know, I said peace, blah, blah, blah. But then it wasn't until after that, like more recently, that I built with Cuban. And Cuban was with my mans in the B&S crew, Butchie in the Joito in the. Yo, Cuban was like, yo, you know my mans? I'm like, yo, them my mans. From 92, 93, B&S. You busy boy. And my man's Butchie and them like, yo, Cuban is our people, nigga. That's us. That's family. Now, these Puerto Ricans, some light-skinned, some Tregueño, but in B&S, you got black, you got Boston, there's black in that crew. When I ran with Terror Squad, I ain't seen no black dudes ran with it. B&S had black. Even if you, it might be a dude darker than you, Puerto Rican. But if you're Puerto Rican and you Tregueño or you Cocolo like that, it ain't no, oh, Moreno, Moyo, all that bullshit. You might be Puerto Rican and we call you Moreno, or we call you black. But it's no difference, brother. There's no difference like that.
Recently, within I think the last week, him and Jadakiss had actually started a podcast. You know, have you been able to catch it? And do you have any thoughts about him and Jada going?
Nah, man. What I will say is this, and I'm gonna say this about the younger generation. I don't want to be that dude that this nigga King Son, like I'm looking for clickbait. I'm looking for views. I'm looking for whatever. I'm 58 years old. I lived through Patterson, New Jersey. I lived through Jamesburg, Bordentown, Epsom Unit. I lived through the Bronx. I lived through Florida. I lived through Chicago. I lived through LA. And I'm still alive at 58, man. The name of the game is to get old. Not high, not let no next man protect you. Nah, I'm King Son because I run with 50 niggas. I'm King Son when I run by myself, man. I'm a dangerous man when I'm by myself. You feel me? So I say all that to say, like if you say Bumpy Knuckles, he dangerous by himself.
Absolutely.
You feel me? Just Ice. Dangerous by himself. These ain't cats you gonna see 20 deep, 30 deep. He was deep. We dangerous by ourselves, brother. And like I said, you know, with all this, man, nowadays, I got love for Jadakiss, Fan, Stab, silverback sheep. I met Sheep moms, Miss Evelyn, rest in peace. I met Sheep moms who she was on 183rd and Grand Concourse, getting her hair done, whatever. And somebody was talking, we was out there, and Sheep Moms was there, and it's like she heard somebody talking saying I was a rapper. And this ain't no disrespect, bro. You know his mom's Miss Evelyn. So she was like, hey, I heard them people talking. I had my little white 560 SEL Benz. So she was like, hey, I heard some people talk. You a rapper? So I was like, yes, ma'am. So she was like, yeah, my son rap. She was like, you got some advice for him? So I was like, just, don't rap about nothing goofy, whatever. Then she asked me if I ever heard of a group called The Lot. So I was like, oh, yes, ma'am, I heard of The Lot. She said, well, my son calls himself Sheik Luch. So I said, oh, that's the God. Bow, bow, this, that, and the third. I said, they supposed to be signing with Puff. She's like, yeah. I said, yo, tell them do not sign with Puff. Right? I told her, tell them not sign with Puff, this, that, and the third. So I wound up giving his moms a ride. Word is bond, no disrespect, no nothing. Mm-hmm. Because as she said she was Sheik Luke's mom's, she asked me, who's your family? So I told her who my mother, Elaine is not your mother. I'm like, yes, ma'am, Elaine Slade, and qualified as your uncle. So Sheik moms knew my mother and my uncle. Mm-hmm. So I wound up giving her a ride, boom, to like Hump 45th over that way, where she was meeting with her people. Word is bond, that's a true story.
No doubt.
You wouldn't make that shit up.
No.
It's nothing disrespectful. Mm-hmm. That's old school gangster.
Yeah.
You feel me? Now, Jadakiss, my son went to a school in Yonkers, King's Academy.
Private school.
Private school, I believe, but it's in Yonkers. Mm-hmm. And my son, Lord Messiah, come home one day, and I'm always bumping the locks. I'm always bumping Jada. And, I don't differentiate. A lot of people jump on Jada and start. A lot of people jump on Jada joint. That's unprofessional, man. That's it. Yeah. Look, a lot of people get with Jadakiss. Oh, Jada. But like I said, and I will always say this to everybody, man, the Locks is the reincarnation of Treacherous 3. When you listen to Treacherous 3, not the Spoonie Treacherous 3, but Special K, Sunshine, Kumo D, Jadakiss, Styles P, Sheik Luch. There is no weak link. All them brothers, with me, hip hop, they all go together. Even when they separate, they still hit. So my son, Lord Messiah, come home and said, Dad, he was like, is that Jadakiss? So I was like, yeah, that's Jada. He said, his mother is my teacher. And I was like, what? He said, yeah, his mother is my teacher, Miss Phillips. Right? So I'm like, oh, okay, So I had already met her. And Jada, if you're watching, but I'm proud of Jadakiss. I'm proud of where he comes from with his father, him, his son, Lil J, his mother. You know what I mean? It's no wonder Jadakiss is ill like that because he comes from original civilized people. Jada don't got a jail story for you. He don't got I was starving story for you. I was hungry, like rest in peace. Biggie might make you think. Miss Barletta did whatever she could to take care of her son. So when you go out there, I was broke, I was homeless, I had to do this, that. We don't realize you disrespecting where you came from, bro.
Absolutely.
And even if that's not your life, you saying it, somebody paying you to say that on record to make your own family look bad, son. They paying you to make your family, who you come from, look bad. Like, damn, you was broke. You was poor. Your moms was on crack. You couldn't eat. You couldn't do nothing. You had to sell drugs to be who you was. Jada and them Yonkers boys don't come from that. You feel me? And still could be nice on the mic. Still could be streetwise hustlers and how they do it. And that's where the locks came from. And then my other man, my man Stagger Lee, Leon, he went to the same school. He said, yo, son, yo. He said, Jada Kiss, his mom was my teacher. Like, I know about 3 people who Jada Kiss' mother was their school teacher. You feel me? And so you got to look at that. Jada don't got a state number for you. He don't got a prison story for you. He might can tell you about it. I'd rather he be a narrator than the person that actually lived that. Because that person you could take as a role model. Styles, little Styles P might have went through his little thing, but he's still sharp in head. She, same thing. Those is good brothers, man. That's what we need in hip hop. Examples. If it's beef, they ready. But if it's a cause for an intelligent situation, they ready. You feel me? Mm-hmm. It ain't a lot of that now. So if Fat Joe and Jada Kiss got a podcast, man, a lot of people doing a lot of things for money. Mm-hmm. Oh, he get money. You know, let me link with him so we can get money. But just the whole point, big. All these cats that's linking up, doing shows, doing podcasts, doing, you know, what you call that, The Voice and all this. Everything y'all doing for money, ain't none of y'all money working for the black community or the black people. So what does it all mean? Yeah. Y'all getting money, you get paid, you living well off. But all them dudes that you, oh my man, this my man, all your memories, all your childhood memories, everybody you ran with, everything you did, everybody you stole from the corner store with, all them cats is broke and you living lovely. And you living by yourself, man. So, in this little segment, what I'm gonna say, all y'all, man, podcasters, clickbait, basketball players, football players, rappers, y'all trying to sell us potato chips, trying to sell us rich crackers, trying to get us to go gamble in the sports, gambling and all this, selling us liquor and all that good shit, man. Knowledge yourself, man. Wake up, man, and stop destroying us, man, for you can live, man. If you ain't got no money or you ain't got no knowledge of self to give us, man, leave us the fuck alone. Because you an agent, bro. You a gatekeeper. And that shit only lasts until you die or until you disrespect them devils. We're the real brothers. We gonna live and die with self-respect. No one understand that, man. It's a little public service announcement.
Yeah. 2 things before we wrap up. I want to catch this one because it's current news right now. We're in tomorrow. We'll be going to the 4th day of the P. Diddy trial, something that we never seen anything like this before. What's your take on it? Is this over for him? Is he gonna Diddy his way out of this? Did he do it? Did he not?
Well, with the P. Diddy situation, man, it's hard to say with Hollywood and the music industry because they could be just sitting him down. You feel me? Like Harvey Weinstein did a lot of stuff, right? but we don't really know the outcome. You feel me? We know what happened with Bill Cosby. You feel me? We know what happened with R. Kelly. But we don't know the outcome about Harvey Weinstein, who did a lot of heinous things to a lot of the actresses that we know. Now, Puff was in a certain circle where this could just be punishment for him. It's too early to tell. With this, what's going on now, they're saying like, oh, it's 45 jurors. One juror don't want to be in it. Whatever, this, that, and the third. That could be a sign that them devils forgave him. So he got knocked down. He's sitting down. It depends on how bad they disrespect his masters. If he didn't disrespect them totally and they think they could still use him to miseducate original people and youth, then he'll be back. If he dissed them to an R. Kelly point, where they felt like, oh, we don't need this nigga no more, throw him away, cast him out, he done. You feel me? So with that, and then it's like, again, another factor is whatever evidence he might have and whoever might be on them hidden cameras, they might be that large, like, yo. It might be in negotiations. For one, if they that large, then they're going to Jeffrey Epstein them. If they ain't Jeffrey Epstein them yet, if he ain't commit suicide in the prison by Val, he's still in Hollywood purgatory. He might be able to come out for that. Oh, well, I apologize for beating up the sister. I did this, I did that. And there's redemption in Hollywood. But that's a whole cipher that us as young black youth and hip hop, as a young black, when you got the actors talking out. The actors been around, the Terrence Howards and the cats who rock with the Medea dude, Tyler Perry, and them. The cats who rock with them, that's a cipher. That's a non-disclosure NDA, blah, blah, blah. You can't disrespect Tyler, can't disrespect Lee Daniels, Oprah Winfrey, and a few names. So that acting thing is bigger than before. But the hip hop stuff, that's us, that we done passed it off and gave it away. Puff was the one that controlled that. Not Africa Bambaataa, not Russell Simmons, not Andre Harrell. Puff took that to where it was, make or break you. You feel me?
Yeah.
So we know Puff run with Clyde. Puff run with Jimmy Iovine and all of them. That's a whole cipher, man. You feel me? So he's in purgatory with that. So that could go either way. So, they really, what I think, and as far as media-wise, they're using his situation when ain't nothing going on. Oh, well, P. Diddy to cover up, what's going on with Donald Trump. And this ain't happening, and that ain't happening. And we got a new Pope. Everybody praise the Pope. Praise the Pope. And then P. Diddy, all those is distractions to what's really taking place. But they really don't want y'all to know. So pay attention to that. But honestly, I don't think he's done. And the cipher that he in and how it's planned out, I don't think he's done.
Gotcha.
I think honestly, I'm gonna tell you a chess move. I think Puff gonna come back, and then when he do come back, he gonna maintain, then he gonna get at a lot of people who showed their ass for his masters. You feel me? So be easy disrespecting Puff.
Absolutely. I know one of the going, things is that what you just said, he holding lower leverage, but I think they confiscated all the videos, but they said in every room, in every part of the house, he had these hidden cameras. So what do us as the audience, being that we've already seen the God King's son at these white parties, should I be looking on the news in the next couple of days?
Hold on, let me say something. And I wanna hit this with everybody, yo. There's a little clip out there where Meek Mill is in the pool. And you can hear Puff saying something. And Puff said, "Yeah, what's up, King's son?" And then Meek Mill say something, you really can't hear Meek. He's like, "Yeah, I see you working hard, daddy. Yeah, I love that. I love that." That bothers me because I'm like, why did Puff call Meek Mill's King's son? And when I asked my peoples, I asked my OG, because my OG in the game of industry and everything, my little brother is Trench, and my older brother is Ice-T and McBenson. And Ice-T told me, nah, leave that alone. We don't want to hear that. That ain't about you, drop it. But that's something I heard, you know what I mean? Like, yo, Puff is calling Meek Mill King's son while he in the pool. Like, you worked hard, daddy, but that is what it is, man. So
yeah, that's just, yeah, that was just a joke. But
right.
I know, being that you've been at the parties, and all these secret cameras, we never know what's going to come out on these.
No, I ain't been at those parties. I was at, he couldn't have cameras in Prince's house. Mm-hmm. We was in the mansion at Prince.
Oh, that was the sort of white party.
Yeah, white party.
That's at Prince's house.
See, there's 3 levels to a Puff Daddy party. Mm-hmm. Well, these were Ashton Kutcher. You got the first level, which is the all-white party, 4th of July, where you gotta go to a hotel, park your car, and then you get the wristband. If you on the list, if you ain't on the list, you ain't going. So then the jitneys take you up to Beverly Hills to the party. So you at that party, so that's like the cookout party, the white party. Then after that might be dead about 8 or 9. So then from 8 or 9 till about 12, it'll be in Hollywood or Sunset at a club. So then I guess that's where you at the club and you might be still getting your drink on and you might be making your rendezvous. And then after that club, if you still hanging out past 12 or 1 o'clock, then you're going to go up in the hills somewhere where I never been. And that's, I guess, is the baby
orgy party. That's the baby orgy party. Yeah, well, indeed. Going to be quite interesting. One other. Last interview that we had, another legend, like you, so much legendary stuff that we just want to be so much stuff. Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
You told us a beautiful story of you going to his house and then doing the song that you did for us on the last episode. I have to ask you, can Stevie really see? Because that's been another one that's been put out there to us that Stevie might not be really as much blind as people think he is.
Nah, bro. See, all that folklore, Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, Jose Feliciano, being blind is not something you would play with. You understand?
Yeah.
Being blind or being deaf is not something that you would play with. And then as far as Stevie Wonder is blind, but when you're blind, for most of your life, I wouldn't say because I don't know, but with my knowledge of self, like they say, when you lose one sense, your other senses become hypersensitive. You know, so Stevie Wonder is so sharp. He could you'll be like this, like I'm waving my head because I'm doing Eddie Murphy interpretation of it. Mm-hmm. But Stevie Wonder'll sit here and you'll go get a drink. And he could hear that you drinking, blah, blah, blah. And to the normal nostril, to the normal palate of smell, we can't smell it. But he might be able to smell that you drinking Tito's or you drinking tequila. And he might say, yeah, Vic. No, yeah, Vic. You over there drinking tequila, right? Like, oh, how do you know? Got you. You feel me? Yeah. So it's not a magic trick. It's not, he went all this. What would be the benefit for a genius like Stevie Wonder to play blind? It's not like he was in a wheelchair and he fronted, he couldn't walk all this time, and then he all of a sudden stood up and walked. Blind is blind, brother. You feel me? And when you know, my sister Heather and myself, when we come up to New Jersey, we go to this diner called Bendix. It's owned by a blind man, right? He's blind. He don't wear shades. You can see he's blind. But this man comes and takes your order and takes your money and hit the register, pop, 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 and will give you change. If anybody think I'm lying, from New Jersey, Route 17, meet Route 46, Bendix. Y'all know the owner is blind, and he'll wait on you. You give him $10. He gonna give you back. Now, did your money have bread? Mine didn't. But he gave me back the exact change, blind. So Stevie Wonder is blind, bro.
Definitely.
You feel me? Besides that, my man Keita, that's his father. Keita's a real dude. And, you know, everybody know, man, Stevie Wonder blind. But the whole point is, all y'all out there watching this interview, all y'all rocking with the bigger picture with my man Bigga, don't y'all be blind to the bullshit was taking place, man. Don't be blind to the gods and the earths, man. Don't be blind to the music industry. Don't be blind to fake rappers and all these cats out here telling you this and telling you that, and they thugs and they gangsters and 20,000 here and 200,000 around my neck. Don't y'all be blind, man. What is bum?
Absolutely. And the last question for this interview, because we got so much more to go.
Indeed.
New York Knicks. By the time you come back for the next one, either we're going to be eliminated or we are going to be in the next round. What is where we going? Because we so hungry right now. Last year we got
New York gonna hate me, and I'm gonna take the flack on this. You know, there's a God body, right? I'm gonna say this. There's a God that all in the NGE, the Nation of Gods and Earths, they love this God. He rock with the babies. He does this. He does great things. Puerto Rican brother from the Lower East Side. Couple of weeks ago, at the Garden in a bright orange jersey on, he punched a young artistic white boy in the face. No reason. You feel me? Now, I'm not bringing this up to put that brother on blast. You know what I mean? But me, and what a lot of people don't realize, when I say don't be blind, it wasn't just the fact that he sucker punched young boy, white boy, okay, whatever, for no reason, but he did it wearing a Knicks jersey. So I felt like the Knicks punched that boy in the face. So I'm literally rooting for Boston to win because of what that so-called righteous man did to that young boy. I'm a New Yorker, and I'm a New Yorker do or die. I'm a Bronxite. There's something ill and special about them Boston cats, man, that they really don't, they might be going along with the plan, but they only go along with the plan if they gonna win. Shout out to New Edition. Shout out to New Kids on the Block. Shout out to Mark Wahlberg. Yo, Mark, remember when you was Marky Mark? I mean, I used to kick you in the butt before you was the Calvin Klein model. Nah, but for real, shout out to Benzino. Shout out to Boston, man. Everybody.
I'll be sure.
Hey, you from Boston?
Yeah.
All right, well, shout out to Albie Shaw. But I know Albie Shaw lived in the, he lived up in the valley over there by Burbank. Y'all know where I'm talking about, down there by the park. LA.
And until next time, which will be real soon, peace.